Jai Hind students, you're welcome once again. And today we will study the remaining part of the story, Lost Spring by Anish Jung. And for this, let me share the story with you on your screen first. So, see students here that this paragraph we have already studied, and now we are going to begin from the second paragraph today. As the while author was describing about the conditions, about the poor conditions of the rag pickers and other poor boys, poor children that who are suffering from extreme poverty, and in order to give the explanation she had also described a story from the place Udupi, and she told that but now others right, because there were so many people like the son of the priest now wore shoes, but many others like the rag pickers in my neighborhood remain shoeless. But she says that after with the passage of time, that conditions of the children, the boys of the sons of priest have been changed a little, but many others like the rag pickers in my neighborhood remain shoeless. But still there are so many rag pickers in her neighborhood remain shoeless. Now further she tells that my acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi yet miles away from it metaphorically. Now further the author Anish Jung says that her acquaintance means her introduction with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri, because that she was introduced, she knew the rag pickers well, and in order to know more about her about them, about the rag pickers and their family, that she decided to go to Simapuri to see their living conditions. And what is Simapuri? Simapuri is a place on the periphery of Delhi. On the periphery means on the border, on the outskirts of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. Now remember student, this is very important statement, that Simapuri is a place on the periphery of Delhi yet miles away from it metaphorically. This is a question, this is very important question from this part, from first part of the story, Lost Spring. And this statement can be asked in both the ways. This statement can be asked as a short answer type question, that can also be asked as long answer type questions in your board examination. So this one is very important statement, please underline it, mark it. So here the author says that Simapuri, which is a place on the periphery of Delhi, means on the outskirts of Delhi, which is very close to Delhi, which is on the border of Delhi, which is the capital of India, yet miles away from it metaphorically. But metaphorically it is miles away, it is far away from Delhi. Why it is miles away from it metaphorically? Because the Delhi, which is the capital of India, which is one of the most advanced cities in India, and which is full of facilities and job opportunities, education and everything, but that the people, the Simapuri, which is very close to it, which is in the outskirts of it, means it is far away, because you know that even basic amenities are not available there. And why? Because that some uh, what are the reasons why that the Simapuri is far away, is miles away from Delhi metaphorically? The author has given more description later on. Let us see that she says further that those who live here, means those who live in Simapuri, are the squatters. Means those illegal migrants, those people who migrated from Bangladesh and started living illegally there in Simapuri. They are called squatters. So further author says that those who live here are the squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. Who live there in Simapuri? They are the squatters. They are illegal migrant who had come from Bangladesh in 1971. And Saheb's family is among them. And now the author says that Saheb's family, Saheb, a rag picker, whose family is also one of the squatters. Simapuri was then a wilderness. Now further she describes that Simapuri was then a wilderness. That was Simapuri at that time in 1971, before the arrival of these Bangladeshi migrants. The Simapuri was a wilderness. It was a deserted place. It was deprived of even the basic amenities, and it still is. But that further the author says that still it is in the wilderness, but it is no longer empty. But at that time it was an empty place, because the population, that people's population was not there. But now it is no longer empty, means it is full of the people, means squatters, illegal migrants. And in structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, divide of sewage, drainage or running water. Remember students that now here the author describes the miserable conditions, the pathetic conditions in which that those migrants, means rag pickers, and their family live. They're living that low living standard, mean she talks about. She says that in structures of mud, with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, divide of sewage, drainage or running water, live 10,000 rag pickers. 10,000 rag pickers and their families live there in Simapuri in structure of mud, means the walls of their houses are made of mud with the roofs of tin and tarpaulin, and they have tin or tarpaulin roof. And even the basic amenities, that basic facilities of sewage, drainage and running water is not available there, means they are deprived of sewage, drainage and running water, these basic amenities, and means that they are living in a subhuman condition in Simapuri, which is very close to Delhi, which is on the outskirts of Delhi. And they have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity. And now further the author describes that those squatters live there in more than 30 years without identity, without permits, but with ration cards that get their names on voters list and enable them to buy grain. Though they live there from for more than 30 years, but they don't have any identity. They did not get any identity, and without permit. They don't have any permits because they are squatters. They are living there illegally because they are the Bangladeshi migrants, and but with ration cards. But they do have ration cards, and because of that, that get their names on voters list, and that's why they are able to get their names registered in the voters list and enable them to buy grains. Means they don't have any identity, they don't have any permits still uh, to live there in Simapuri because they are squatters, they are illegal migrants. But they have got the ration cards, and they have also got their name registered in the voters list. And because of that, that since they have got their names in ration cards, they are unable to get the grain. You know that, remember students, this is the tragedy of our country. You know that, if they are illegal migrants, then why they have the ration cards, why they have got the right to vote? It is because of the corruption, because of the corrupt leaders, that for their own benefits, uh, they have got their name registered in the voters list. And food is more important for survival than an identity. And but this is the author's opinion. Author says that the food is more important for survival than identity. So definitely that identity, if we will have to choose that what is more important, identity for someone, their identity or survival, then definitely the survival is more important. For survival, they don't need identity, they need food. So that's why in search of food, they have left their homeland and settled down there in Simapuri. And at the end of the day, if at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that give us no grain, say a group of women in tattered saris when I asked them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers. Now the author describes when she reached there at Simapuri, and she talked to she talked to a group of women who were in tattered saris, in torn saris, because means they are struggling for survival. They don't have that much money to purchase, a good sari for them, so they were wearing tattered saris. And when the author talked to them that why they left their beautiful fields, uh, their own homeland, then they tell that if at the end of the day we can feed if our families, if at the end of the day, means in the evening, they are able to give food to their families and go to bed without an aching stomach, means without an empty stomach, they are able to sleep, means they can manage uh, manage one time food for their family. So we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. Then that's why they told that this place was better for them to live, because here at least they are able to manage a two-time meal for their families. And while they were living there in their own homeland, they did have fields, but that gave us no grain. Means definitely they had the identity there in Bangladesh, and they had their homes, they had their fields, but those fields, they were growing crops, but means all those things were swept away by storm, by flood, and in this way they were struggling for their survival. They were starving there. So that's why they told they had lived their place their homeland and settle down here in Simapuri. And when I ask wherever they find food, and now further the author says that wherever they find food, they pitch, means they set their tents that become transit home. Transit homes means temporary homes. And then author describes that they find food wherever they find food, because they don't have a fixed home, they don't have permanent settlement. Rather, wherever they get food, they pitch, they set their tents and start living there, because become their temporary transit, their makeshift. They set establish their makeshift homes means transit or temporary homes, because they can manage the food at least. So children grow up in them, and then further she describes that their children grow up in those transit home, those tents, and later on they also become the partners in survival. They don't go to school because they cannot afford, they don't have that much money to send them to school. Rather, when they grow up, they become the partners in survival. They also start that doing rag picking, and so that they can earn something to buy food. And survival in Simapuri means rag picking. And now that she says that survival in Simapuri means rag picking. If they had to survive in Simapuri, it means that they had to do rag picking. Means they did not have any other job. If they want to survive there in Simapuri, they did not have any other job except doing rag picking. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. And through the year means with the passes of time, that rag picking has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Rag picking was nothing a shameful job. Rather, means it has got the proportion of fine art. It has become a fine art for them. Means it was no more a dirty job for them. Garbage to them is gold. And for them, remember student, garbage to them is gold. This can also be asked, that garbage to them is gold, justify. Such type of questions can also be created. So garbage to them is gold. Why it is why that garbage, that vestiges is gold for them? Because that they can get that something valuable from the garbage, and because of that they get the food. Means that garbage is the means for their survival, and it is their daily bread, and that garbage is their daily bread, because their food, if they are able to provide their family food in the evening, their family is going to sleep without aching a stomach. That is because of that garbage, and that's why the garbage is their daily bread. And a roof over their heads, even it is a leaking roof, but for a child it is even more. And the roof, if they could manage a tent to live in, that is because of that garbage, that is because of the rag picking. And but the later on the author describes that it seems, but for the child it is even more. But for child it has a different meaning. It is more than the survival, because they enjoy, with the passes of time they have learned the art of scrounging, and they enjoy the scrounging in the garbage. Now let us see the next paragraph. So further, The author describes that I sometime find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note, Sahib says. Now, further, the author describes that one day while she asked to Sahib, that Sahib told that sometimes he finds a rupee. He finds a rupee note, even a 10 rupee note from the garbage, and he says is he tells it happily to the author, because he was quite excited. Why he was extremely happy, his eyes lightening up means he was extremely happy while he told this to the author. And when you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, I don't stop scrounge you don't stop scrounging, for because there is a hope for finding more. And further, that mm, it is said that you find means one finds a silver coin. When someone finds a silver coin in a heap of garbage, then at that time he doesn't stop scrounging, he doesn't stop uh, searching in the garbage, because there is a hope finding more, means they become more excited to get more, they become more hopeful to get something more than a silver coin or a 10 rupee note. And it means that for children, now garbage has a meaning different from that it means to their parents. Now another important statement, students, that here the author says that it seems that for children the garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents, because the children takes in a different way, that in scrounging in the garbage they take garbage in a different way than their parents, because for the children it is wrapped in wonder. For children it is wrapped in wonder, because now you can see that because for children it is wrapped in wonder, but for the elders it is a means of survival. This is also one of the important statement, because now remember student, the trend of asking questions has been changed, and that's why it is very important to understand each and every line of every story, because such kind of questions can be asked. That for the children, like this is an important statement, that the question can be asked from this statement, that for children it is wrapped in wonder, for the elders it is a means of survival. Justify the statement. In this way the question can be asked. For children it is wrapped in wonder, it is a wonderful place, the garbage is a wonderful place, because they scrounge, they search in excitedly, because uh, uh, there is a hope for them, they can get sometimes a 10 rupee, sometime a rupee note, a 10 rupees note, sometime they can get silver coin. So that's why they enjoy scrounging in the garbage. But for the elders it is a means of survival, but actual value of those garbage, that they realize, the elders, their parents realize that that is their means of survival, because they don't have any better job to do, and that's why it was their compulsion to send their children to scrounge in the uh, garbage. Now let us see uh, further that what happens. That one winter morning I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. And one day, that the author remembers that she could see Sahib standing near the fenced gate of a neighborhood club. There was, in her neighborhood there was a club, and one day she finds that Sahib was standing by the gate of this mm, club, and he was watching two men dressed in white playing tennis, and he was watching there that two men that who were dressed in white, and they were playing tennis. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. And when the author asked him that did he like the game, that he replies that yes, he likes the game, but content to watch it standing behind the fence. But he was satisfied to watch the game behind the boundary wall. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. And then further, when she asks that he likes the game, then he says that he goes inside, he likes the game, and sometimes he goes inside when no one is around. When there is no one inside the club, then he goes inside, and further he says that the gatekeeper lets me use the swing, because there is a swing in the club. There is a swing in the club, and he seeks permission from the gatekeeper, and he enters into it to enjoy the swing. After all, he is a child, and that child game, he likes the child game, so there is a swing, and that's why he goes to enjoy the swing. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes. He goes to enjoy the swing, but you know that tennis, the playing tennis, is out of his reach. So Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. So one day, author finds Sahib that he was wearing tennis shoes, and means generally that he was without shoes, without chappals, he was barefoot. But that day that he was wearing tennis shoes, and which look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. He was wearing shirt and short, but it was discolored, means it was faded colored shirt and shorts he was wearing, and it looks quite strange while he was wearing the tennis shoes. And over his with his shirt and shorts, and someone gave them to me, he says in a manner of an explanation. And when author asks him, then he tells her that someone has given that tennis shoes to him. And he explained, the fact is that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy. But author knows that what was the fact. The fact was this, that it was a discarded shoes. It was thrown away. The shoes was thrown away by some rich boy because of the fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy, because that it was a discarded shoes by some of the rich boy who had thrown it away, and he finds that somewhere, and he was wearing, means he trying to hide from where that he had got the shoes, and who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them, and does not bother him. And even that it was discarded shoes because that of some rich boy, he had thrown it because that there was a hole in one of them, but does not bother. But that does not even shoes with a hole does not bother him, means Sahib to wear. He does not mind the hole. He was happy to wear that shoes, because for one who has walked Barefoot, even shoes with a hole, is a dream come true. It was it was like a dream come true for Sahib. Means that here the author is highlighting the extreme poverty condition of such poor boys like Sahib, such poor rag pickers, because they don't have money to afford even shoes or chappals, and even that a boy like Sahib who had got a discarded shoes which is thrown away by a rich boy because of hole in it, and if he finds it, that he started wearing it happily because it was a dream come true. Means you can imagine that in how much extreme poverty condition those rag pickers were living. But the game he is watching so intently is out of his reach. But the game which he was watching so intently, he could not afford that, he could not play that game because that is a quite expensive game, and he was so poor. And I think I'll have to stop here. I'm going to end it here for today's session, and the remaining part of the story, that one part is left, that remaining part of the story we will study uh, next day. Now see the students, in this way that you can also that see that some of the questions which are related to that. Wait a minute, once again let me see the question. These are the questions that you can see that as today's homework you can take it, that what is Sahib looking for in the garbage dumps, and where is he, and where has he come from. Easily you can get the answer. You have understood what is Sahib looking for. Sahib was looking for gold in the garbage dumps. Where is he and where has he come from? So he is living in Simapuri and he has come from Bangladesh. So like that these are the questions you can do it from the paragraphs which have been explained. The second one, what explanation does the author offer to the children not wearing footwear? You know that there is also description. You can easily understand that one of the explanation is that there is a tradition to remain barefoot for the rag pickers, but you know that the author Anish Young has a different opinion. She has a doubt on it, and she thinks that it is the perpetual condition of poverty. Because of the perpetual condition of poverty, they could not afford. And then the third one, is Sahib happy walking at the tea stall? Now means still that you still we have to study this. And in this way, since I have given a hint, but actually you have to write in your own words in 30 to 40 words. That is better for you to understand, and in this way you will also be able to do writing practice. You keep on practicing of writing the answers, because finally in the examination you will have to write your answer. Expressions will be your own, so in your own words you try to write that. So now today we came to an end of this period. Remaining part of the story we will study in our next period. Till then, thank you and have a nice day.